How to become financially free as a TV and film professional. I'm not a financial advisor. This content is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinion and experience. Please speak to a qualified expert before making any investment or money decisions. I don't know why I went Aussie when I did that. Achieving a sense of financial stability, security, and even freedom as a film professional or someone working in the TV industry can be very hard and difficult for many individuals. In lots of other careers, it can be more stable, there's more stable income. In film, it can often be greater highs and lows with the income and the rushes and the uncertainty of not knowing. So I was really interested in diving into and researching as much as possible about what has separated the people who have had both creative success in their field as well as commercial success, and they've been able to support and fuel these incredible visions and stories and ideas that they wanted to see on the screen, and even people who've been a part of it. So I looked at patterns amongst the wealthiest people in the film and TV industry, and these were 5 common patterns that I found that you can apply or just remember in your own life. The first one is defining what financial freedom is to you. As the financial expert Ramit Sethi says, what is your rich life? And getting clear around what that means to you. Because it can be subjective to different people in different situations. The second point is do what brings you joy or deeply interests you, whilst at the same time creating an incredible amount of value for others. You can just do something that just brings you pure joy and capture it in a way that brings you joy, and it is often great art. But also having another lens or way of looking at it and saying, what will create so much value for others? I like thinking about this compared to what will make a lot of money. I like thinking about what will create so much value for others, like what will make something so incredibly valuable for someone to watch, as well as what am I deeply inspired by, interested in. An example of this is James Cameron with Avatar. Like, he loved underwater, I think it was scuba diving, and he just had a fascination. There's a TED talk on him talking about this, and then this led to creating Avatar. He merged these 2 passions and interests together, as well as highlighting something that is incredibly valuable, which is the issue that we face in climate change. I'd also say it's hard not to make money when you're extremely good at something. Like the competency level, like sometimes I've just not been good enough at a skill, which is why I'm not getting paid for it, or I'm not getting recognized for it. So getting exceptionally good at what you do is often a prerequisite to building a lot of wealth. One of the quotes that I really like that summarizes this is actually by Tony Robbins, who's not in film and TV that I know of yet. The secret to wealth is simple. Find a way to do more for others than anyone else does. Become more valuable, do more, give more, be more, serve more, and you will have the opportunity to earn more. The next point is having equity and ownership. A lot of people can work a lot of long hours, get really big salaries, but they don't invest it in something that builds reoccurring and passive and residual income for years or decades to come. So negotiating and thinking about how could I get equity or ownership in this project that I'm part of, and becoming the person that is worthy of having that equity and ownership. An example of equity and ownership is George Lucas in Star Wars, and how he negotiated for less of a salary when he was directing and maintained equity and ownership over the merchandise, which ended up far exceeding the earnings of Star Wars itself and the movies themselves. Amongst the wealthiest people, a lot of the things that they also had in common was a big personal brand. And what this really means now is having an audience or social media presence and growing it to a capacity that is really useful, and having it created in a way that aligns with your most important goals as a filmmaker. This is one of the things that I have struggled with, because sometimes I just want to create the work, that I'm doing compared to, or create the film itself compared to documenting the journey more like this, because this can also take a lot of time. But you can find a way in which it streamlines and actually saves you time towards your most important film goals, whatever they are. The next point is persistence. Often a lot of these film professionals who achieved great success and massive amounts of wealth did it through a lot of sheer persistence, often 5-10 years plus of dedication to their craft and what they are, and becoming the best they can be at it and creating the best product. Going through countless hurdles, like that cannot be underestimated as an important part of building wealth. Environment. One of the best ways to improve skills is to create an environment which makes it hard for you to fail. Like, how do I create and set up my environment that makes it hard for me to fail at the thing that I'm wanting to achieve? Whether that's if I'm trying to raise money, if I'm surrounded by investors, constantly going for coffees, meetings, or at an investor hub, then it's often easier for me to raise financing. Like, I can just bump into that person, or I'm more likely to bump into that person. So how do you create it so that your environment is optimized? Quentin Tarantino spoke about his move to LA and to Hollywood and how that was instrumental. People don't have to go to Hollywood, but just like, what is the best environment for you right now? What will make it easy for you? What environment would make it easiest for you to achieve your goals? One of the problems that I've noticed implementing all this different financial advice is often it can be overwhelming. So one of the things that I've done in this video for myself, which you can test out and experiment with, is creating a one sheet for finances. So in one simple page, what is a way that I can think about my finances in the healthy, most empowering way that leads to the results that I want. So the way I did this is split it up into 3 sections: mindset, mechanics, and then models. And I'll go into depth into each one now. So with the first one, and I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to be reading this out and speaking to you as we go. I've got them on this Remarkable here. I'm not sponsored by Remarkable, but if you guys want to, I highly recommend sponsoring me. Okay, and one of the lights has gone off on the side, so we're just going to get rid of the blue now. Cool. So with mindset, the way that I think about it is there's so many different ways. Like, people's beliefs and stories that they create around money often creates the reality in which they perceive money, you know, and the childhood stories and the way their parents thought about money and all of these different things. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because that's a whole another rabbit hole. But essentially what you believe about money definitely impacts both your subconscious beliefs, which are the beliefs from your past, as well as your conscious beliefs. Mindset. The founder of Mindvalley, which is one of the largest personal growth companies, in his book, The Buddha and the Badass, which I enjoyed, it had this very interesting passage around beliefs or affirmations versus questions and the power of changing the mind. And one of the things that I really liked from it is the idea of lofty why-based questions. So what I've done is the identity to which we see ourselves often determines the action. Like, say for example, if I constantly just think I am bad with money or I never have enough money, and I repeat that story over and over again, I start to see and perceive that in my reality. It's the same thing as if you closed your eyes right now and you're like, someone was like, think of the color red. Think of the color red while your eyes are closed, and then you open up your eyes and you start to notice red all around you. It's the same as the beliefs that we have around money and finances. And people might say, I don't want to sacrifice my artistic integrity to make money, so then they just stay broke, but they don't actually get able to do their artistic integrity. It's like there's lots of different conflicts that can go on in the mind instead of... So I designed 3 questions for myself around money and finance that you can test out for yourself, and you can personalize them for yourself. So the first one is, why am I? And then you insert your identity, and you can see the sheet will be up on the page. So my identity is I want to be wise with money. So I ask, why am I wise with money? And using it as a tool. So one of the things that I view money as is a tool. I don't think it is something's good or something that's really inherently bad. I just more view it as a tool and as a friend who is helping me accomplish my goals in different ways, you know, as fuel to creative fuel for the different projects. So yeah, so why am I wise with money and using it as a tool? And then you can have a meaningful mission or result that you would like. So say, for example, for myself, I get really inspired by this idea of creating paradise for all. It's just, when I think, some people will be like, heaven for all, serve the common good, for the benefit of all, to bring joy and peace to the world. Whatever their mission is, it could even be to educate 1 million children. But when it's tied to something that's bigger than yourself, as well as it's for yourself. So it's like, for me, paradise for all, including myself. So if I was going to go back to that question, it'd be like, why am I wise with money and using it as a tool to create paradise for all, including myself? Like, I want to use money as a tool to help me live my best life, like the best life I can, and to help others do the same. And I want to be thinking about money in that way. So yeah, everyone will have their variation of that. So that's the first question. The second one is, why do I feel? And then you insert the 3 feelings that you want to feel around money. So often I felt stressed, worried, tense around money, or even like ashamed about asking for more money or doing different things with money. So everyone has their own feelings that when someone says the word money that comes up. Why do I feel so, let me go to my example. Why do I feel so thankful, calm, and confident with money? So that is one of the questions that I will ask myself. The reason why this why-based question is I don't have to answer that question straight away. I just ask myself those 2 questions each day, and then your mind naturally starts to look for the solutions to the questions that you ask yourself. So say when I'm at buying a burrito from Sombreros and I pay for the burrito, I'll be like, oh, why am I so thankful for, it might come up as a reason, oh, because I get to eat delicious food with money. You know, it's like I'm thankful for the money that I have because I get to eat delicious food. So it's like, then it starts to retrain the way that I associate with money. A little side tangent from this is, there's this famous author called Ken Honda, and he spoke about, I don't know the stat, but I think he created like the most millionaires in Japan. And he spoke about the relationship that one of the tools that he gets people to do to reframe their beliefs and change their feelings towards money is to thank money when you give it away or when you pay for something, and thank money when you receive it. So you feel thankful for when you're giving it, and you feel thankful for when you're receiving it. Arigato money, I think it was. So I just find that as a very empowering way of viewing and feeling towards money, because sometimes people can have all the money in the world, but then they still feel this intense stress and fear around money, which, like, at times we might, but for shorter periods of time I kind of want my default to be thankful, calm, and confident, because then I feel like when I'm talking about it, when I'm creating with money, when there's high stakes involved with finance, then I'm able to maintain my composure and think clearly. And the energy we have towards something internally reflects what we receive externally. So the next question is, why do I have, insert an amount of money, invested in a way that's generating over, and then I have like joyful lifestyle amount, whatever is required for you to have a joyful lifestyle each year, or a lifestyle that brings you joy, you know, that makes you happy, passively every month forever. So this one is more optional, and you can think about it for yourself, but there isn't a certain amount of, if you have invested in a safe portfolio, from what I've researched, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you have a certain amount invested in different, I think it's like the All Seasons Portfolio by Ray Dalio is one of the most famous investors who's invested a lot of money. And he talks about it like you get a specific return each year, and you don't have to do much to get that return. You can rebalance your portfolio. I'm going into too much, but there's a certain amount that if you have invested, then you generate enough residual and passive income from that each year so that your lifestyle is supported. In terms of the hard technical term of financial freedom, that's the way that I think it is. Like, you've got enough money invested in a portfolio that generates enough income for you every year and for the rest of your life, so that you never have to work again. Work is just a choice for you. Now, another counterpoint to this, which is useful to think about, is Derek Sivers, who's the author of many books. He was wanting to be a musician, and he said as soon as he was able to go full-time into music, he viewed it, he saved up I don't know, it was like $10,000, $20,000, and he was able to support himself transitioning to becoming a musician. And he wasn't earning an awful lot through music, but as soon as he was able to do that, he said, I'm already living his joyful lifestyle. You know, he's like, I'd already achieved financial freedom and independence because I was doing what I love. So yeah, so basically you pick an amount of money that you'd want invested, and that leads to, and it's generally like 4 to 6% return. I think 4 to 4% to be safe if you've got it in a diversified portfolio, and then you can do that. I would search that up on ChatGPT. So an example would be, say if you wanted to have $10 million or like $5 million, and then that would equal a certain amount per month that you know you're going to get through residual and through the returns of the portfolio that you invest in. Okay, the step 2 is the mechanics. So what this means is basically the plan, like getting the things done. And there's very intense financial plans that people can do. I kind of just wanted this as a brief overview and to help me really focus in. And then you can take it and test it out for you. But I'm just going to explain it very quickly. So let me go through it. So there's different areas, and we'll start with the first one. So after you've defined what money is to you, so I view money as a tool to create paradise for all, I'll start myself with a 90-day target. So you can have longer term, 12-month, 5-year, whatever it is. Because things are changing so rapidly now with technology and different projects can change, I like thinking in 90-day chunks, and then 30-day, 2-week, 1 day, and often it's sometimes just like, what is the most important thing to do today? But that's another tangent. But so say for example, I ask myself, to use money as a tool to create paradise for all, what is my number 1 target that I'm aiming to hit over the next 90 days? So I can set a flexible or strict target. Like if I'm not sure at the start, I might just set a flexible target just so that there's something that's out there. If I'm very certain and like this is the thing that needs to happen, then I can set that. But depending on what stage people are at, I think general and specific goals, I think it's picking what resonates with you for that specific thing at that specific time. I think sometimes it can be very useful to have a general goal. Sometimes it can be very useful to have a specific goal. But yeah, so say for example, for me, it would be to create and finish the short film that I've been working on. And then from that, after that, I'll be like, okay, what's a 30-day target to create and use money as a tool to create paradise for all? The 30-day target could be, I want to have shot the short film. The 30-day input, so this is where it changes now. So you've got the target that's flexible or strict, and you can sort of put it there. I like flexible in terms of if things are fluid, if some other project comes up, I'm okay to drop it, versus like this must happen and this must, and I have to do it in this way by this time, you know, it's very strict. So I like differentiating it so that I feel I have integrity with myself, and then I'm like following through with my promises towards myself. But the 30-day input goal is what's within my control to make that happen. So say I like thinking about a time and a target as well, like it helps bring me clarity. So say for example with the short film, it could be I spend 30 minutes writing every day on it, or I've spent 30 minutes on the short film 5 days a week, and that I know is within my control, you know, or I spend 3 hours every day or whatever it is. So that's sort of the time-based one. The target one could be like, say I find the cinematographer, I send through 10 invites to 10 different producers, you know, to help me bring this project to life and to help work on their short film. So that's an example of a target-based input goal. Like I know I can send through 10 invites during that time. Now it follows the same 90-day, 30-day, 30-day target and then 30-day input for each version. So then I've basically taken the feelings one. So say for me to feel thankful, calm and confident with money in the next 90 days, what is my target? This can be a specific amount of money or it can not be. And it can be the same thing as well. It doesn't have to be a different thing each time. I could find, like what I felt is that to feel like that, I think if I create the short film, I will feel that way around it. The same thing with the 30-day target. And then the 30-day input. So I won't go into the specifics of it. The next one is income per month. So in the next 90 days. So this is where you can pick a specific number, whether it's $2 million a month, $100 billion a month, whatever you choose, and whatever resonates with you. And then you have your 30-day target as well, 30-day input with income. And then you have your expenses. So like if I'm earning that amount of income and I'm aiming to earn that amount of income during the next period of time, what are my expenses? Like what am I gonna, like the basic thing of earn more than you spend, you know? So yeah, that follows the same thing. The next one's investing in assets. So you're basically just asking all yourself these questions around the different areas of money. So investing, so what can I invest in? And becoming an investor, whether it's I'm investing in the S&P 500, investing in my project, investing in new lens, and investing is like, what is the thing that will give me an ROI, the biggest ROI on my projects and what I'm aiming to achieve. You know, it could even be emotional ROI. So that's where it like becomes more personal. The next one is savings. So having some, after reading a lot of different personal finance and finance books, it's having some form of emergency fund that is not invested into other things. It's often very powerful in reducing the stress that one feels. So like 3 to 6 months to even 12 months of expenses that you've saved over time. And so you can have your definition of how much you want to save during that period of time. And then same, that's like 90-day, 30-day, 30-day, follows the same sequence. And yeah, and then you can automate that and decide on a specific amount that you want to save. Yeah, I'll just read through the different areas and then you can go through it. The next one is debt. So if you are in debt, how do you want to approach it over the next, what's your goal in the next 90 days, 30-day, 30-day? The next one, which I think is really underrated and important, which I don't see in spreadsheets as often, is, or in financial planning as often, is who are the people that if I surrounded myself with in the next 90 days, 30 days, would most help me achieve my goals, you know, and who are the people that would make it easy for me to hit the financial targets that I hit. Like if you're hanging out with people who are broke and don't have any money, it's often a lot harder to earn money, you know, and that doesn't mean that you let go of amazing people who don't have a lot of wealth right now, but it just means like if you want to raise money or have money in your sphere, it's a lot easier often to do it when you're around wealthier people, you know, if you have investors or people who can pay for the film projects that you're wanting to create. So yeah, that could be a mentor, that could be a financial advisor, that could be someone that you hire to help you with finances. It could even just be a friend you reach out to who's very good with money and you ask him for his advice on something. So yeah. Then the next one is technology and AI. Because tech and AI is innovating so rapidly within the film industry, within all industries, basically all industries, is keeping up and setting a challenge. So say, for example, it could be to learn Midjourney in the next 90 days deeply, to create an AI short film, to hire an AI expert to work with the top AI expert in film. Like I did a course by Curious Refuge, which was great, you know, and I've still got a lot to learn and improve upon from that course. So it's like, how am I going to integrate, how am I going to work in harmony with tech and AI? So I don't have to use it for the sake of using it, but how could it speed up my process, help me achieve my financial goals, help me do things a lot faster, you know? So that's the next one. Then after that is taxes. So wherever you are in the world, can you optimize your taxes in the next 90 days or 30 days? And then the last one is, which I've included, is generational wealth. So I find, like, say for example, this video for me is helping create, in some way, helping me create generational wealth by sharing philosophies and ideas around wealth building, so that my kids could watch this in the future, or if it's still relevant, you know, we might have universal basic income and AI has taken over super intelligence has taken over the world and humans are just free to play and we don't even have to worry about money. Who knows? But creating generational wealth, I think, is, yeah, it's something that you can think about if you want to. So that is the mechanics, the short-term mechanics for helping you achieve the mindset goals or the goals that you have around. Okay, last but not least, we are finishing with models. So what do I mean by models? Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, some of the greatest investors to ever live, spoke about how he collected different models of thinking around money and investing, and just around human nature sometimes in general. What is an example of this is, an example of this could be a thought process of be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy, referring to how they invested in the stock market. So there's countless others, and that's probably not the best example, but let me see. But basically what this is creating habits or thoughts, or the top 5 things that if you reminded yourself of personally would most help you make wise money decisions. So this is where you have to do the thinking, like I can tell you, but I actually find more value in often creating content, creating videos, and thinking through problems myself than in sometimes consuming other people's content, you know. And I think most people, even if you don't create content from it, really thinking through your own ideas and what will be most useful, what will work for me now in my current situation. Because there's often so much conflicting advice around finances, how to get wealthy, how to be a millionaire. There's this person telling you this, there's this person telling you this. But just sitting through and thinking to yourself, like, what will help me make the wisest money decisions right now for myself? So some of the models that I've been thinking for myself around money and making wise money decisions is, one is, there's a lot of different things that I can do, but I'm creating it so that my default is no. Like if someone asks me to do something or some other project, like my default is generally no, because I want to stay focused on what is most important to me. The next one is, I was like connected 100. So if I'm faced with a decision where I feel overly emotional, like either positive or negative, is to sit back and count to 100 and just place my attention on my heart, count in for 5, exhale for 5, and just regulate and calm my nervous system down, and then ask, what would my best self do now? You know, that's like sort of an example of, if I'm faced with a decision that is tricky, I want to sort of bring myself back to a state of gratitude, balance before taking action. The other one is to result time box, because sometimes I can put off a decision. So giving myself a set amount of time to make a wise decision, or once I've collected a certain amount of data, I'm going to make that decision, and being comfortable with taking imperfect action and just getting feedback through the learning process. What else? Is like I create, one of my things is if I'm making a bigger investment in a project or something else, is I've got like investment criteria that I can go through. And that can be, I want to check in with my gut, I want to talk to someone, whatever criteria works for you. Thinking what else will be useful. Another one for me is actually just being present to the moment. So just being present throughout the day, 20 minutes of mindfulness break if I feel stuck for clarity. So I've noticed, I've often thought of very innovative ideas when I've been very present and very in tune with my emotions and my body and what is happening around me. And I want to enjoy the present moment along the journey. So I think some of the wealthiest people that I've met that have enjoyed their wealth have just cultivated a very deep sense of presence in the moment. So I think that is often associated with true wealth. The next one is fear setting. So I have this from Tim Ferriss, so thinking through the worst case scenario and then how to prevent, reduce, repair the situation if the worst case scenario happens. Do this and if I feel resistance, if I feel resistance towards doing something, actually asking myself, what am I afraid of here? And allowing myself to feel the fear and then move past it. So I feel like so often if I am procrastinating or not doing something that I know I'm meant to do, it's often because there's a sense of fear compared to there's an actual block. You know, it's like I'm just afraid of it versus I'm blaming external circumstances as to why I can't do it or why it's unrealistic. It's often just fear, and if I feel that fear in my body and then move through it. So, please click in the link below if you want to use this template so I can share this brief template with you and then you can test it out. Rewatch through the video. If you have any questions, please type in the comments below. Now I'm just going to do a quick recap of everything that we have covered during this session. The first one is defining what financial freedom is to you and what a rich life looks like for you. Next one is doing what deeply brings you joy and you're deeply interested in or curious about, and creating, whilst pursuing that, creating it in a way that creates so much value for others and thinking about how can I create this as valuable as possible for others and finding the intersection. Equity and ownership, so looking where you can take equity and ownership in projects, and obviously successful projects. You don't just want equity and ownership in things that you don't believe will be financially viable, successful, or you're connected to. The next one is personal brand, persistence, environment. Just going to recap the mindset questions, the mechanics, the models that you use to make wise money decisions, and the habits that you have around finances and money. And yeah, that is it. Thank you so much again, and I look forward to the next video.